Well, hello everyone. I'm back. Actually, last time you saw me, I was transmitting to you from Utah, of all places, inside a law library at Brigham Young University there in Salt Lake City. But look, hello and welcome from New Zealand. I'm back in Auckland, back in my new home with Rachel. So look, lots to share with you, probably more on the personal front today. A few other issues though, including what the Broadcasting Standards Authority is up to. But I just want to say it's lovely to be back. I'll get to the comments in a moment. But it's lovely to be joining you all again. It's been, actually feels like a long time. We're only away about 2.5 weeks, what turned out to be actually two conventions or symposiums that we attended. But a little bit more about that in a moment. I really should get back in the groove and say, of course, welcome to Solid Ground. And to people who are first-timers who are coming across this across an array of platforms, welcome. It's great to have you here. Solid Grounds, where we discuss the cultural, social, political, philosophical, religious, whatever you want to call it, issues of the day from a good, solid foundation, a solid ground. It's also a terrible pun, as people know, on coffee. And, of course, I have my mug here, the best-selling mug at the latest forum on the family. But a reminder to people too that if you want to comment, because this show is live, if you want to comment, if you're on Family First's Facebook page or Family First YouTube channel, those comments come directly to me here in the studio, and I'll do my best to reply. Naturally, you can say hello, tell me how everything's going. You can comment on anything I'm discussing, but you can also ask questions if you want to go, hey, look, talk about this. To Salt Lake City to Dallas. So feeling very, very tired at the moment, I must admit. So guys, I will throw up some comments, but if I am a little bit slow today or a bit dopey, you'll know why. But as I say, good morning to all of you. Got Harrison there. Look, it is great to be back, I have to say. We had a fantastic time. I'll share some more photos and videos with you guys in a moment. Lynette, it is nice to be back. And look, lovely to see familiar names and faces. As I say, I've only been away 2 and a bit weeks, but it feels much, much longer. But Michael, good morning to you. Jackie, lovely to have you there. And Ray Teehee, we've got Philippa, good morning. And again, it is lovely to be back. Darren, thank you very much. And also to Chris. Rosie's reporting in from Taupo, thank you. Oh, Dean, thank you very much. And good morning to you. Catherine, we couldn't do a show without you. Good morning. Marita, thank you as well. And Jackie saying, I thought there'd be a mention of the BSA, the Broadcasting Standards Authority. I'll get to that near the end, but long and short, they're having a go at Sean Plunkett and the platform. But Harrison saying, nice haircut. I think what it is sort of jet travel hair that hasn't been properly looked after. And to Claude, welcome. Lovely to have you along as well. And said first timers, we just love it. Look, this show goes to hundreds and thousands, not hundreds of thousands, hundreds and thousands across all our platforms. And so, Claude, great to have you here. Today, as I say, partly because I'm tired and dopey, I'll share a little bit about the trip, but I'll do some commentary as well on the Broadcasting Standards Authority overreaching its mandate to now target the platform. And to be honest with you guys, it's got Bob and myself very interested because undoubtedly the Broadcasting Standards Authority will want to go much, much further than the platform. They will want to censor, and that's the exact word we need to use. They will want to censor the likes of Family First, the platform, of course, RCR, any other mechanisms, if you will, or means that we use to talk to people. Because, look, ultimately the BSA is an extension of the progressive left. To put it really, really bluntly, they are the ones who are ultra keen, along with the Advertising Standards Authority and all these other pseudo-judicial bodies. They are run by people who are keen as, I'm trying to find the right word in my tired mind, to basically censor your views, to stop traditional views being heard and alternative views being heard. So pretty bad, but I'll come back to that. As I say, we've been in Utah, we've been in Idaho, Montana, and Texas. This was probably what I like the most, a beautiful photo of something called Donut Falls. I think I shared this with you last week when I did a somewhat unexpected solid ground, as I say, from Utah, from actually during the symposium. So Rachel and I went across, actually for work, believe it or not. We went for a symposium on religious freedom, or freedom of conscience, freedom of belief, how you want to term it. We basically went to, it's a Latter-day Saints-sponsored university, as you might expect in Utah, called Brigham Young, and basically was joined by academics, lawyers, judges, philosophers from all around the world and from a whole array of different religions. And it was amazing. But fortunately, we also had a bit of a chance to look around because Utah in particular is just such a stunning state. It's like Queenstown for me on steroids. And being fall, as they would call it, or autumn to us, the leaves were changing colour. It was just gorgeous. And this is a place called Donut Falls, and you can get a hint of why it's that. It's a cavern, where obviously I'm taking the photo from, but there's a round hole in the roof. Hence it's called Donut Falls, and I'll see if I can make the video play. So that's just the water from the waterfall cascading in, and it's just absolutely beautiful, I have to say. And you have to walk about 3 miles to get to the falls, and then you've got to clamber up quite a rocky cliff to get to it. So it was actually quite hard work, I have to say. But we got in there, and even Rachel and I took a bit of a selfie. So obviously I'm taking this in the cavern. Well, not obviously, you probably don't know. In the cavern, so the waterfall's in front of us. But we thought we'd do a little bit of a selfie. It was quite the journey, I have to say, to get to it. But I think it was really, really worth it. And we also had the good fortune to go to Yellowstone Park, which was amazing. And I think I shared this video the other day, and I've got another one. This is the mama bear, and you'll see a little baby bear there in the foreground. So this was one of 4 bears that we saw. There's no sound with these, but just quite amazing. You're just driving along the road, because, well, it's America, so there's roads everywhere. And you just see all these people stopped, and there must be a certain animal. So we got out with about 40 other people, and there was the mama bear and her cub, and the cub just taking a little bit of a walk there. It's off. So a brown bear, so not a grizzly, fortunately, but very, very cool, I have to say. I thought it was pretty neat. It was pretty neat. And then I've got this one here, if I can find it. This is the mama bear deciding to, go for a walk because the cub disappeared. And so this is the mama bear on its little journey. It's pretty cool. I have to say, I've never seen bears before, and certainly not bears in the wild, so that was quite a treat. They are quite magnificent creatures. So yes, I share that. Now, I've lost my screen. So I'm just going to jump to some comments. Dean is saying, New Zealand first wants our farmers to sell good meat and limp. Yeah, well, this will be coming to the cost of living, so I'm just jumping at the comments, and you can see I'm foggy in the mind. Yeah, well, it was something actually trying to explain, Dean, to the Americans, because we were saying that how expensive it is to live here. And in contrast, the Americans, even those on relatively basic jobs, have a lot more disposable income. We were just struck, there was an outlet mall close to one of our hotels, and I was just struck by just how many Americans were there, and just about all of them buying things. Now, part of me finds that over-consumerist, but at the same time, they have more disposable income, as we say, New Zealanders, down to the shops. But it was explaining to them, and as you're touching on, Dean, it must be the New Zealand First policy that I need to catch up on. Because New Zealand can export pretty much all its primary goods, so like dairy, meat, just for 2 quick examples, we, the New Zealanders, have to pay international prices because the farmers go, well, look, I can make a fortune selling to the overseas people or earn less selling it to Kiwis. So of course they're going to sell it overseas. It's logical from their side. But it just means, as you're experiencing, that we all find it, jolly expensive. Though I will admit, with the New Zealand dollar being the way it is at the moment, going to America was exceptionally expensive because basically everything's twice as much. Like if you bought a coffee for $5 American, which is pretty much what they were, when you could find a decent coffee, then you have to double it. So it's like $10 plus a tip plus overseas margin. So basically, don't drink coffee. Rosie's saying that the BSA, and I said I'll finish on this one in a moment. They don't like free speech. It's a real problem. Chris is sending a word of welcome there to Claude, which is very lovely. As I say, we've got quite a large but also growing community, which is marvellous. Harrison's asking about the Charlie Kirk Memorial. I'll share you a couple of photos in a moment. Philip is telling me it's quite non-sunny down in Dunedin. Muddy Waters, thank you. Good to have you back. And Simply Green's asking, his name's Richard Fanslow is the person who wrote. I tell you what, I'll quickly share a couple of last photos and then I will dive right into the BSA thing because lots of people have been asking me. So yeah, this is the Charlie Kirk. This is where he was shot. Just happens to be statues around. So this was just a photo I took and I just thought it was, a serendipity, a very sad statue which just happened to be there. So under the flag is sadly where he was killed. To say it was only about 5 minutes drive from where Rachel and I were staying in a place called Provo. And so, God, excuse my voice. So yeah, we went and visited. Quite somber, quite surreal, very quiet. Granted, it was not a university day, but there was a constant stream of people. And so it was just very, very sad. And there were a number of these memorials in and around the place. This was just by the car park where we, first stopped. So lots of American flags and lots of little messages. Rachel actually picked up some chalk because they had a big box of chalk and wrote a little message, which I thought was lovely. And then the other thing that was striking, I hope you can make this out, little rock cans. So all along the car park and actually the motorway, the dividers on a motorway? Here we have grass and flowers and mud. There in Utah, where we were by this university, UVU, Utah Valley University, UVU. And so, excuse me, they have rocks. And all the way along, people had made these little memorial cans. And I just thought it was quite striking. Quite striking. So just it was quite something to be there. But the main reason I attended was to give a lecture at Brigham Young. I was discussing, so yes, sometimes I do clean up and put on a suit. We were discussing again religious freedom around the world and actually the increasing challenges. If there was one takeaway, it's that most countries, including New Zealand, talk a big game about freedoms, but actually actively work against them. And so my talk, and I'll actually publish it on my Substack, and if I can get a video of it too, I'll share that because it was being videoed and recorded, and there's going to be academic papers which I've written to say that there are challenges here in New Zealand. And so look, it was great to be there, as I say, talking to people from around the world, including from Iraq, from Rwanda, South Africa, Australia, you name it, just all around the world. And this was just one small group that I was part of, a discussion between the Canadians and New Zealand. Really amazing. The two in the middle are from Canada, and Yella on the right, the person who's not me, is from Belgium. But Julia and Andre from Canada, when they were sharing about what was happening in Canada, it was really quite striking. The same challenges we have here in New Zealand, where basically having a religious belief is becoming increasingly challenging. But it's great to be there. But let me jump to what should be a substantive topic. The BSA, the Broadcasting Standards Authority, it's governed by a piece of law many, many decades old now, and has basically decided to pick up a complaint from a guy called Richard Fanslow. I don't know who he is, but he complained about Sean Plunkett, and that Sean Plunkett had called tikanga mumbo jumbo. So that's the depth of the complaint there. But the first thing that happened is the BSA has decided it now has and can have jurisdiction over the likes of the platform. Now, what's really important to understand here is the Broadcasting Standards Authority is based on a piece of law which is very clear that it's about broadcast media. So we're talking basically radio and television. That's how the law is written. It's about transmitting and it's about receiving. And so pretty much up till yesterday, the BSA's mandate finished with the likes of TVNZ, Radio New Zealand, More FM, all of these traditional media. The likes of the platform, the same as Bob and I here at Family First, the crew at RCR, Reality Check Radio, we don't broadcast in that traditional way. We use the internet, just like I am to you at the moment. I'm just streaming through the internet. But the BSA, these unelected individuals, have decided that actually their jurisdiction now goes much, much wider. And so they've sent this complaint to Sean Plunkett, who is rightly fighting back. So there's two problems with this. The first is that the law has not changed. And so what we are seeing here is the Broadcasting Standards Authority deciding it will effectively change the law. It will reinterpret the law and to expand its reach. That's a major problem, but this dynamic is not without form. And I might try to write about this today, because if you think recently, and actually to pick up on the tikanga, Parliament has made no rulings around tikanga, but our courts a few months back decided in its infinite wisdom to make tikanga the first law of New Zealand. Now, I'm not going to debate the ins and outs and the wherefore-alls of that, but New Zealand, last time I checked, and certainly when I was in Parliament, is governed by Parliament. We are not governed by the courts. We're not governed by the Broadcasting Standards Authority. We're not meant to be governed by the progressive and far left. Parliament makes the rules. But what's beginning to happen, and we've just illustrated 2 points here, is these non-parliamentary bodies are making up their own rules. Just like the court decided that tikanga all of a sudden was a rule, law. You can see my foggy mind is still in play. That tikanga is all of a sudden part of New Zealand's law, decided by the courts, not by Parliament. The BSA has just decided that its mandate goes much, much wider than what Parliament determined. And then think of the likes of Family First. The courts decided that we're not a charitable organisation because believing in the nuclear family and a mum and dad is no longer socially acceptable. Now again, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but it's not actually up to the courts to decide that. That's actually up to our Parliament. Or when it comes to societal norms, that's for society to determine freely, not the court. So you can see what I'm saying, or I hope you can, is that we are seeing this overreach occurring. The second thing which is happening here is basically censoring of views. We often talk around these types of complaints as being the process as punishment. So look, I would guess, and I'm only guessing, that if the platform had to give account for saying that in this case tikanga's mumbo jumbo, excuse me, Plunkett would probably win on free speech grounds to say, well, it's not particularly offensive, it's a viewpoint. But, and this is the really important point, he and the platform will take a lot of time and a lot of money to try and defend themselves. And what you also see, and we see it already in a number of spaces, the activists, the woke activists, the progressive activists, the far left, whatever you want to call them, basically harass people into silence. They just keep complaining and bog you down. We saw that with people who came to our forum on the family. Someone like Carolee Smith, so she's the Australian woman who talks into gender issues. Sal Grover is another one, obviously J.K. Rowling. They just get hounded by these activists. And that all takes time and it all takes money and it's exhausting. And so that's the second big problem coming through here. If the Broadcasting Standards Authority is allowed to have a mandate over the likes of the platform, they'll drive it into the ground by just incessant complaints. And just to illustrate, as I say, this Richard Farnslow, if I've got the name right, his complaint to the BSA is as minor as I just mentioned, that he was upset that Sean Plunkett said that tikanga is mumbo jumbo. Now, you might believe that. You might believe the complete opposite. It's just an opinion, but he believes it's offensive. And of course, this is a left-wing activist, I suspect. Everything they disagree with is offensive. And so you have that censorial dynamic in play. And the final point, I only said two, but now I've had a third. This will affect the likes of Family First. It will affect the likes of RCR. It'll be anything you watch on YouTube. If the BSA gets away with this, you will see them basically trying to stop all and every group that talks about issues that matter to you, and from a perspective that I think most Kiwis agree with, which is much more centrist and not the far left activism. So you can imagine, like Family First, we talk about gender ideology, we talk euthanasia, we talk abortion, we talk politics, we talk Israel, we talk a whole array of topics, which actually the far left cannot tolerate and do all they can to shut down. And at the moment we can operate relatively freely, which is great. But the BSA, via the platform, has shown its determination now to try and shut these conversations down. So you should be very concerned because actually they will do all they can. And I just keep coming back to that word to censor. And not just Family First, not just the platform, not just RCR. Think about other people you might listen to on YouTube. If the BSA gets away with this, and hopefully they won't, they will actually grind us all into the ground. Not because they'll find us guilty, for want of a better word, but it'll just be incessant processes. And again, think of those violent protesters at Albert Park. Think of most of those pro-Hamas supporters who've been rallying most weeks. They will just incessantly attack and critique. And it's not on. It's really bad. And I can see comments coming through here, which I should get to. Food Dogs Trucking, good to have you back, by the way. As he said, make, or she, never, see, I don't exactly know who Food Dogs Trucking is, so it's a he or she, I don't know. I should probably just go broad, but rightly saying make 1984 fiction again. Simply Green, are they aware of political motivations? Oh, I think they are. Look, I have no doubt they think they are operating in the public's interest, and that's what the far left and the progressives do. They always believe they're doing what is right. They have such a moral certainty. They're more than happy to oppose anyone who crosses their mind. And again, it's not likely that he's going to be someone like Sean Plunkett fined, but the time and the money it's going to take to fight these things is a major problem. Rosie's saying, how can they make it? Well, they just do. They just are stretching the definitions to try and fit this. And so hopefully Parliament intervenes, or the Minister intervenes and tells them to pull their head in. Sorry, there's so many comments coming through. Muddy Waters was just saying, shameful what's happening in Canada. Yeah, it was very sad listening to Andre and Julia, these two guys, and well, woman and guy here. Just what is happening, very, very concerning. Anna's asking what we can do. I think to the extent you can support Sean, email. He probably will set up a fighting fund. He's got some good lawyers, and also he's got some very wealthy backers now have stepped in to say, look, they're going to fight this, because a number of us can see this is politically motivated. This is an attempt by a politically captured organisation increasing its mandate to effectively try and shut down discussions. It's really, really problematic. So different, George has nailed it. Bias, yeah, absolutely nails it. And Philip is asking, why does Parliament allow this? There's something called comity, not comedy. It does feel like that at times, but comity, C-O-M-I-T-Y, where you're sort of meant to respect each other's branches, but branches of government, that is. So Parliament's meant to respect the courts and vice versa. I think Parliament, by and large, tries to allow the courts to operate in their space, but the courts increasingly are not respecting Parliament, but the MPs in general haven't quite, what's the right word, guys, haven't quite found its backbone yet to say to the courts, enough's enough. But what is going to have to happen is that the Parliament's going to have to pass more laws and be even more clear around where the guardrails are. So look, a major... Yeah, Justine is now. Well, they will come after Family First if they get away. If the BSA gets away with this with the platform, they will definitely turn their guns on the likes of Family First, RCR, and others, and say, "Look, you're broadcasting, and we don't like what you're saying." People will be offended. All the trans activists, all the LGBTQI activists, all the fourth wave feminists, all the Maori activists, they'll all come. And basically flood the BSA with complaints because, the colour of my glasses is wrong or something. So we need to stop this. We need to stop this. Hey guys, I'm conscious of time and I need to bagel. And Dean's asking a really good question here as well around dress standards. I'm not going to be able to answer this now. Tonight we do have our political playback. Dean, I don't know if you are around at 5 o'clock, or of course it's all on YouTube. Bob and I will actually be touching on a little bit of this tonight. So political playback for first-time viewers is where Bob McCosker and I talk the politics of the last week and the politics here of New Zealand. I don't go so wide-ranging on that. So that's 5 o'clock tonight, same platforms you're watching now, and we'll be talking a little bit around what's happening in the House and dress codes and protests. So don't forget that. Obviously, I'm back now, as is Bob, so our morning shows are all go. I've also just uploaded recently an interview with Dawn Hawkins. Some of you will have heard and met her at the Forum on the Family, but I also did a podcast with her talking about how we can end sexual exploitation. Really, really great. And literally about an hour ago, I released my latest Substack. It's free to read, so go to substack.com and look up my name or On Point. And this is around the ceasefire and more importantly, why I think these radical groups in New Zealand, these groups of people who are out protesting most days, actually hold similar values to Hamas, or they share some commonalities. You know, if you're wondering how you can have these Queers for Palestine groups, seems quite incongruous, doesn't it? How on earth can a group like that be supporting an Islamic jihadist and terrorist group? So this Substack explains a little bit of why, from my perspective. But as I say, that's the end of the show. This is obviously something you watch live, but you can always jump on to YouTube and elsewhere to see. You can read and listen to our content. We're on Spotify as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave it there. I'm probably do a little bit more work, and I might have to have a short nap. I dare to admit that, but the jet lag is still exhausting me. So guys, lovely to be back here in New Zealand. I look forward to talking to you guys again next Tuesday. But for those who are around, I'll see you on Political Playback at 5 o'clock tonight.